Olive Gabardine by Kevin Grauke. Every night I'd go home and complain to my wife about him, how he could never count out the correct change, how I'd find him asleep in the bathroom and the break room and the janitor's closet, how he always wore the same pair of pants with a hole in the crotch that was impossible not to look at, how he used inappropriate language around children. On his 8th day, I called him into my office and fired him, cursing myself all the while for having hired him in the first place. He nodded. "I did try," he said. I could tell that he had, sort of, but trying was something else he was terrible at too. "You took longer to fire me than most," he added. There was nothing really to say to that, so I said nothing. I tapped my pencil and stared at him, at his 2 front teeth resting like a jackrabbit's on his chapped bottom lip. When he stood to leave, I stood up too, and before I even realized I was going to say anything, I found myself telling him to hold up, that there was something I wanted to give him, something from my house 5 minutes away. Without a word, he returned to the chair in front of my desk. Still fairly confounded by what I had said, I drove home, wondering what it was that I intended to give him. After looking around our living room without success, I moved to our bedroom. I opened my closet and looked at the 3 suits I owned. What the hell do you need 3 suits for? I asked myself. So I snatched the olive gabardine and returned with it to the office, feeling slightly dizzy all the while. "I want you to have this," I said, holding it out to him. "Okay," he said, almost as if he'd been waiting the whole time for this. He left without thanking me. I then stood there in a daze, unsure of what had just happened. When my wife discovered my olive gabardine missing a few days later, she asked me where it was. A stinging bubble of tears welled up in me, instantly as a matter of fact, as if it had just been waiting to be called forth by the correct words, and I broke down right there in front of her, my wife of 27 years. I understood. "Oh God, honey," I said, pulling her against me. "I used to make fun of him. But it wasn't his fault." "Who, dear?" With her gentle fingers stroking my hair, I told her then, for the first time, about my little brother, how he had died before Mom and Dad could afford to get his buck teeth fixed. My poor little brother, who had never worn a suit before the one he wore in his casket.